So first tool that we're going to look at is called Research Rabbit. I guess the URL, if you Google Research Rabbit, you should be able to find it. I really like Research Rabbit because one reason is because it's really fun to use and beautiful. So here is a collection. I just clicked on this first one, Placebo Effect and Optimism, where I have started with, well, I'll show you kind of what, if you want to start a new collection, you can start an untitled collection. Okay, so let's say we're doing mindfulness and burnout. So here you can add papers to it. You can also import, if you already have a collection of papers, you can import that, or you can search by PubMed, ID, DOI. So it's very similar to that PubMed search, same kind of thing. It's just that once you get that result, you'll be able to do a lot more with it than just a list from PubMed. So, okay. So I'm going to choose, it had different options to search, just like biomedical and life sciences or all subject areas. I just wanted to do biomedical and life sciences. So then you might, see papers here and you can just add them to your collection if you think that it's interesting. I'm not going to spend too much. I'm not going to worry about what's in there. I'm just kind of looking at keywords. Okay. So once you've got several papers or however many added, so I've added 6 papers, then you can explore by clicking on these buttons here. So I can click on similar work, earlier work, or later work. And I really like using this. This is what's very fun, is that you can drag around these papers. It's kind of like spreading papers out on a floor or something, and you can see how they're related and you can see how they're connected. So the lines that connect them show which papers cite which. The ones in green are the ones that are in your collection. And then the ones in blue are potentially related papers. So if you see there's a lot of connections, like this one is connected to a lot of other papers in that constellation, then maybe you want to click on that. And then when you do that, when you do that, you can pull up the abstract right here. You can click on it to read more, but say that you're like, yes, I want to add that to my collection. It's just one click right here, and then you've added it to your collection. You can also see a timeline view and see, I think we had talked about this in another session, just like an AI overview, but if you weren't in that one, so you can see okay, this paper cites, all of those, or say that there's like an earlier paper that everybody's citing, like this one, for example. A lot of papers are citing this. I don't know. So maybe I just want to make sure to read that because that's an older paper that everybody's citing. That's kind of as an example. So through that, you can do a similar thing that you would do with a traditional PubMed search, but you have a visual interface and kind of visualization of how these papers are connected between one another. And sometimes it can be useful for finding like a better or newer systemic review that cites all your same sources, or just kind of quickly switching between them because it is a pretty quick interface. So that's kind of Research Rabbit. And like if it was important to you, you could see like by the same authors or, suggested authors, like depending on how deep into research that you're getting. The next one that we're going to look at is called SciSpace. But I don't know if they're like changing the name. I don't know what it is, but basically the URL is typeset.io. But I think at some point, I don't know which way it's changing, if it's changing to Typeset or SciSpace, but at some point, I think the name is supposed to change. But typeset.io is how you access it, and you just create an account like with your Google account or whatever. And this is one that I've recommended to clients as well. If they have a really complex like paper they're trying to read and they need help to understand it, need help to understand the statistics, it can be really great for that. So there's a lot of things you can do with SciSpace. So you can ask, I think I'm doing the same question for all of these tools today. Can mindfulness prevent burnout? So you can look up questions like kind of more conversationally with these AI tools than you would with like a Google search or a PubMed search. And then it'll synthesize insights it's saying from the top 5 papers and give you citations. So that can be really useful, especially if you are like, my project is about this thing, but then there's some other like ancillary topic that's not really like set. I just want to make sure I understand the big picture or the context or some other kind of sub point that I'm making, just to kind of do a quick like literature review, and see like, okay, yes, that's confirming what I thought. Here's papers. So that's kind of one way to use it. And it can be really great for like, outlining projects, for example, and just getting an idea of like what is out there. But I haven't personally used it as much for this purpose. This is what I like SciSpace for, is actually being able to, in your library, you can upload a PDF of a study, or you can search for them there as well. And then when you do that, you have this Copilot on the right. And the Copilot allows you to, it's kind of like a chat function, allows you to talk to the paper. Like, so this is explain the abstract. So I'll pull the abstract up. And it kind of puts it in more plain language. So that can be really helpful for like clients, or for like, if it's just, you're checking your understanding of something, or you want to see like, I don't really know, like, especially if it's a topic you're an expert in, it can be really helpful to just kind of see how like different ways to phrase things for a lay audience, for example. So there's like kind of a whole bunch of questions or suggested questions that you can ask of SciSpace, and it'll, break it down like an answer based on the paper. Let's see. I'm going to see if there's a graph in here. There's a math function. I'm going to highlight. I haven't actually read this paper in a long time, so I definitely don't know what that means. So we'll just see how it does with that. But with this, it's pretty cool because you can highlight like a graph or formulas or statistics, and it will put those in plain language and explain what those mean. So that can be potentially helpful if you're trying to go through things. So you can kind of ask questions that are like canned questions, or you can ask your own questions and talk to the paper.